If you browse the Roblox catalog, you've probably seen how expensive some items get. But what if I told you that at one point, Roblox actually gave out pretty cool items for free? And no, I don't mean event giveaway items like this thing here. See, at one point in time, the Roblox administrators actually gave out special items. So in today's video, I'm going to be going through every single admin awarded Roblox hat. That means all of these items on this list had to have been achievable by any user at one point. In other words, this means I will not be including items like the Doombringer's Doombringer you see on screen now, as even though it was later given out to more users like Alex Valentino Crown right here, it was originally created solely for Mr. Doombringer, this guy right here. I will also not be including items like the Black Iron Domino Crown of interns, as to my knowledge it is specifically given out to Roblox admins and interns. Even though it is technically achievable, I am not including it because it is not achievable to the average person. To start us off, we have to go back to the long time of July 16th, 2008, almost 10 years ago at the point of making this video. On this day, you see, the people at Roblox decided it would be very interesting to award their Roblox players for their hard work at helping the website grow. And thus, a special item was created to award those same people. And thus, the Red Bandit Top Hat was created. Now, the Red Bandit Top Hat is a part of the ever so popular Bandit Top Hat series, being a retexture of the Blue Bandit Top Hat, which is actually the first Roblox item ever made. It was a way of rewarding their players for their efforts. The Red Bandit Top Hat was created. Now, the Red Bandit Top Hat, it's very simple how it was obtained. It was given out to anyone who could report a small bug or anything sort of similar that would help the Roblox admins out. So like a site bug or an error or something like that. It was as simple as sending a bug report to the Roblox email, even if it only worked half the time. Red Bandit Top Hat is probably the first of these admin awarded Roblox hats, and definitely the most well known. And despite its nature, it actually has quite a few owners, as you can see here. And this is just the first page. In fact, it has 3 whole pages of owners, making it probably have a couple hundred owners, so it's not the rarest item on Roblox. Red Bandit Top Hat is still given out today, with the latest owner being JimWatt6, as shown on the screen. Obviously, I can't tell you when exactly he got the item, but it was sometime in the recent months of 2017. Now, one of my friends actually has the Red Bandit Top Hat. They received it in Christmas of 2015 by reporting a bug that could be found in Roblox Studio. And that's the Red Bandit Top Hat, probably the most well-known of the items discussed on this list. Next, we have the White Banded Red Top Hat. The White Banded Red Top Hat is another member of the Bandit Top Hat series, and it was created on December 15th of 2014. Now, the White Banded Red Top Hat was originally given out to Roblox-endorsed developers who created games for them and created games for sponsored events. A lot of these people are registered developers or game devs. Because of that, I would have not put it on this list, if not for a few people. First of these people is GPR3, who some of you have probably heard of, who is in fact a developer who recently got the White Banded Red Top Hat. If you check his inventory, you'll see he indeed has it. Now, the difference with him is that he's not a really mainstream developer who's worked for Roblox. He received it recently through a Star Wars sponsor, where he got his red, blue, and green versus yellow game sponsored by Star Wars. Now, as I said, he's a good example of how you get this item, as he is not necessarily a well-known developer, really. Now, another reason I'm going to be including this on this list is because of index files here. And if you check his blurb, he is the only non-developer with the Red Bandit Top Hat. He did not get it by creating games. I believe he got it because he created retextures of items for the administrators. This includes items like the interstellar wings, which he actually made the texture for. In other words, to get the White Banded Red Top Hat, you either have to have your game sponsored by Roblox, You don't necessarily have to be a well-known developer as shown with GPR3, or you just have to get lucky and have the admins like you as seen with index files. The next item on our list comes in the generic pinstripe fedora mesh series. Basically the list of fedoras that look like this, like the perfectly legitimate fedora as seen in the recommended bar. This is of course the Boss White Hat. Now the Boss White Hat is interesting for a number of reasons. The first thing is that it actually has sparkles when placed in game. The circumstances of receiving this item are very similar to the red Bandit Top Hat, but the major difference is instead of reporting generic glitches, you have to report huge website flaws and major bugs and glitches. So nothing like some Roblox studio glitch or anything like that, like major security flaws and stuff on the Roblox website. Now this hat actually comes in various tiers. By tiers, what do I mean, you may be asking? Well, there are actually several different Boss White hats. There's of course the generic black and white one, but there's also a few others. There's the red banded Boss White Hat, which you get by reporting 2 major threatening bugs or security flaws. Now this item has noticeably a smaller amount of owners, as you can see here. Then there's the blue banded Boss White Hat, which as you can probably guess has an even lower amount of owners, only 1 to be exact, and even though the description, if you check right here, it says that you have to report 3 bugs to get this, but this is pretty unknown if that's actually the case. As if you check this other one, the binary banded Boss White Hat, if you check the description it says 101, which is definitely not the case. And if you scroll down to the owners list, it actually has 3 owners, and exposed to the blue banded Top Hat, which has 1. So in other words, you probably have to report less bugs to get the binary one. It's probably easier to get than the blue banded one. But the blue banded one is obtainable as seen with this user here, Modded, who actually has all of the banded Top Hats. Beyond that, there's the purple banded Top Hat, which again, the description says 4. So you'd assume you have to report 4 major security flaws or bugs to get it, but again, only 1 owner. So we can assume this is about as hard to get as the blue banded Boss Hat, or a bit harder. Lastly, there's the gold banded Boss White Hat, which is actually considered a Sparkle Time fedora, as you can see in the title, Sparkle Time banded Boss White Hat. Now this item again has 1 owner, and I would assume this is probably the hardest of these to get. This compares to the original Boss White Hat, which I could say any user could probably get pretty easily if they found some type of major security flaw or bug. The first of the Boss White Hats, the generic Boss White Hat, has a sort of basic black and white texture when placed in game, but it has cool black sparkles, being one of the few items in Roblox that emits sparkles. It has a very similar texture to the perfectly illegitimate fedora, which is on sale in the catalog right now for 5,000 Robux. Next is the red Boss Hat, which again has a sort of white texture, but it has a sort of red, almost plaid textured band. And now this is probably my least favorite of the top hats, as I don't believe it matches that well. Now as you can probably see, it has sort of red sparkles emitting from it, but they appear almost pinkish in color, which I think is kind of funny. Next is the blue, which again has blue sparkles, a white texture, and an almost gross blue knit band on it. I don't really know what they were going for with that, but I mean, I think it does look nice. The color really does match. I think it's a shame that this item is basically unobtainable, but of course, if it was completely unobtainable, it wouldn't be on this list, but good luck getting it. Next is the purple, which again, white texture, and it has an almost lightning or leopard printed purple and black band on it, with light purple pinkish sparkles. Then we've got the green, which I think is probably the most unique out of all of these. It has a sort of green binary coded band with 0s and 1s on it, and green sparkles. Lastly, we have the gold, which I think is definitely the coolest. It has a sort of whitish texture, except it appears to have a bit more shadowing on it for some reason. I don't know if that's just the lighting in this game, but as I said, it just sort of looks slightly different on the white part. But beyond that, it has a very nice shiny gold band with gold sparkles. Now, if you've never heard of any of the items discussed so far, chances are you've probably seen this next one at some point. So what is this item? The band hammer. Now, one thing worth noting before I go into the band hammer is that it was actually originally created by Shadletsky. That's right, Shadletsky, who, if you didn't realize, used to be a moderator. Now, the reasoning behind this is that if you didn't know, Roblox users who were moderators, besides the actual Roblox account, of course, used to be able to create catalog items, such as hats and gear and so on. But in August of 2016, this was revoked, and most items that were created by other users other than Roblox were put under the Roblox account. One good example is the hat Oh No's, which was originally created by Clockwork but was moved to the account Games for some reason. I guess Roblox may have tried to move it to the Roblox account but ended up messing up and moving it to the Games account instead. Anyway, back to the band hammer. It was originally created on May 5th of 2009. Now, the band hammer was originally given by Shadletsky to moderators that he liked. If you look at the original owners, you see a lot of old moderators here. You have Mr. Doombringer, Roblox, Varla, Crow, Matt Dusek, and so on. But as time went on, it was starting to be basically given out to anyone that Shadletsky had a liking for. And then eventually, when it was moved from the Roblox account, it was just started to be given out to anyone really who had some kind of relation or help to Roblox. Basically, in order to get this, you either have to be a friend of the moderators or know Shadletsky in some way. But as stated, it is not exclusively given out to moderators anymore. Before I even get on to what the band hammer does, let me just make something clear. The band hammer does not ban people. Now, I'm stating this because it should be obvious, but if you go on YouTube right now and just search band hammer, just go ahead and search band hammer, and you'll get a lot of these clickbait videos. As of late, you have a lot of these YouTubers, like big name Roblox YouTubers, basically spreading false information that the band hammer actually bans people. That is just not true. Look at this video here. This item bans people in Roblox, pointing at the band hammer. So if it doesn't ban people, what does the band hammer actually do? Using the actual Roblox version in-game, it has two attacks. Clicking once will do a smash into the ground that releases some sand. Double clicking will do a quicker slash that doesn't release sand. Now, does this actually ban people? As said, nope. Doing the sand attack will simply knock your opponent over. It doesn't even do damage, that's all it does. It knocks your opponent over. Now, doing the double clicking attack will almost fling them. As seen here, it'll fling them. Now, otherwise, as said, this doesn't actually do any damage. So, in other words, the one-hit attack is basically useless, as it just knocks your opponent down. The double-clicking attack can fling them, and usually hits them with enough force to fling them off of the map. Now, there are plenty of copied model versions of the band hammer, which either don't work at all or will actually ban whoever you hit with them. But as stated, the original band hammer does not actually ban people. That is a complete made-up lie. The last item on this list is the one that I guarantee, even if you are the most knowledgeable of Roblox, you probably did not even know existed. I am speaking about the MTA Spec Ops. It was created on August 24th of 2009. Now, this is probably the most notoriously rare out of all the items discussed on this list. And unlike all the other items discussed on this list, I am actually unsure if this item is still obtainable. But when it was obtainable, it was given out similarly to the red Bandit Top Hat and the Boss White hats. As in, it was given out to people who helped find bugs and other things on the Roblox website. Now, this hat was almost a precursor or an original version of the Boss White hats, as it was speculated to have been given out to people who found more intense bugs and errors on the website, such as security errors and potential malicious threats, stuff like that. The MTA Spec Ops have a fairly larger owner list, being about the same as the Band Hammer, or maybe a little bit more, but not nearly as many as the Red Bandit Top Hats. Now, most of the owners, as stated previously, are fairly older owners, as it has not been given out in a little while to my knowledge. Right around here is when the fairly newer owners came in. Seen here, Roblox Lucky, ICT, and so on. But currently, the most recent owner was Linkmon99, who I believe got the item around 2014. So to my knowledge, it hasn't been given out in about 3 years. Now, the MTAs are actually a part of a retexture series, the original being the Steampunk Aether Spectacles, created less than a month before the MTAs. Also worth noting that they're currently sitting at 10 million Robux, when they're only worth about 60,000. Also a part of the series are the Galaxy Adventurer hats and the outrageous Aether Spectacles, which you may recognize because you actually get these for free, or used to get them for free, if you purchase Outrageous Builders Club.